Hi, welcome to the first ever episode of RBTV. Today I was joined by the wonderful Chris Douglas. He's a local MMA fighter. If you've got any feedback, do let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoy it. And tell us a little bit about you. So who are you? What you do?
I'm Chris Douglas. I'm a statistician by day.
Yeah.
Can I say pro MMA fighter by night? Because I haven't really had a fight for 2 years now. So
Right.
I'm going to still grasp onto that because I am planning on having another one. Pro MMA fighter by night.
Yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to speak to you really a lot of time was for both those reasons. So obviously we're both into MMA, we're training together for a while.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're a statistician I find really interesting.
Yeah.
Just because MMA fighters in general, people just think I'm very intelligent.
There's an assumption. But when you I don't know, when you deep dive into it, there's a lot of intelligent people. I think intelligence is kind of one of the aspects of it. I think I was quite fortunate when I was coming up in the amateur and the semi-pros and whatnot. I thought a lot of kind of what you might call meatheads, the people you might assume would do MMA. No disrespect to anyone I thought early on or anything, but you know what I mean, they were big lads. A bit about them kind of thing. A few of them were kind of working the doors and all that stuff. I think when you saw me coming in kind of with this fucking gut that I've got now, because when I first started fighting semi-pro, I didn't even start cutting weight, so I thought I kind of I fought light heavyweight, and I was just a fat bastard really. Right. So when I was going into it, I think people underestimated me because people assume to be a fighter you have to look a certain way or be a certain way. And I think although I didn't have the kind of the physical attributes, I think I had the mental attributes. I had the mental kind of I was much more aware in fights what I was going to try and do. I had a game plan. I was kind of staying quite calm, staying kind of collected, as you might call it. And I think I was quite fortunate in that the first few people I fought were quite aggressive. They kind of came forward. They wanted to hurt me, whereas I wasn't looking to hurt anyone. I was just looking to win the fight in the easiest way possible. And I kind of feel like that's how I succeeded early on. It was kind of. I like to think I'm an analyst.
Yeah.
You can be called a statistician, an analyst or whatever, but I'm quite analytical by nature. I like to break things down and understand them and things like that. And that's why I think I gravitated towards jits more than anything as well. Yeah. But as part of that kind of, I think I like to think through things. If I'm going to do this, they might react this way, therefore I need to do this. And kind of you build it up in your mind. Yeah. Whereas I think some of the people I was fighting, at least early on, they were quite kind of, they were less analytical in nature and more kind of aggressive in nature, coming forward trying to inflict hurt. So it was kind of that. I just did.
In the early days of MMA, there must have been a lot more, I guess, than there is now. You still get it now on local shows. We've talked about there's a couple of fighters that have 1 in 43 records. You know what I mean? And even obviously I've followed MMA for maybe 10 years now. So I've seen a fair bit kind of develop, but even still when I kind of see those kind of people about, I'm like, hey, that's real. What the fuck? And
but I think that's the problem. That's one of MMA's main problems, is that it's kind of, as a sport, it's got negative connotations of it. So it's it's seen as human cockfighting, you're just putting two people in the cage and they're just kicking shit out of each other. So because of that, and that kind of naive assumption that that's what the sport's about, it attracts certain types of people.
Of course,
most of whom are kind of rooted out early on. So kind of, I think some of the types of people it attracts early on, they're the big lads around town. They've got a bit about them. They've knocked a few people out on nights out, or done some damage. They're handy lads, whatever. They're coming to this sport, and because it's a more kind of skill-based sport. It's not just kind of the bigger lads win because there's skill involved, because there's intelligence involved. I think they don't necessarily always have the success that they thought they were going to. They're rooted out kind of early on. So kind of a lot of the guys I fought early on, I mean, I think my first fight was in 2008. It's almost 10 years ago now. So I think I started training about 10 years ago. But kind of a lot of those guys aren't around now, and I think that's a lot to do with the fact that kind of they couldn't handle losing as much, because I think there was a little bit more on the line than just the fight. There's the kind of the reputation and things like that, and I think there was a lot of that, and there still is some of that now. But I think the vast majority of them are kind of rooted out early on,
relatively early.
A few people will kind of keep on trucking, the ones with a 1 in 43 record, like you said. But I think they're more kind of an exception.
You see it a lot in jiu-jitsu, don't you, where you see big lads. I mean,
well, if you look at some of the kind of the people that have kind of came and went in our gym, like you get some people come down, they get battered and they get tapped out. And that was me early on. I got battered and I got tapped out, but it kind of made me want to go. Exactly, I still get battered sometimes, but like it made me want to do it more. Like the thought that I was like, shit, someone can do this to me, and like I've got nothing to offer. Like it was like I need to learn that. Whereas I think that you can go one or two ways. You either have that, or you have someone that comes down that happens to them. They're like, fuck this. Like I can't have someone half the size of me. Exactly. I can't have someone half the size of me batting me. It's not for me. So the kind of you can go one way. Two ways, and I think that applies to MMA as well. I think you need to have a certain mentality where you can kind of get battered and come back from it. Not necessarily bad, because I think again that's a negative connotation. It's the assumption you're going to go down and you're going to get knocked about.
Get beaten.
You get beaten. You
like
kind of
beaten. Like beaten in beaten in a chess match or
and I think that's how I see fights as well. And I think that's one of the reasons I did quite well. Is like. I don't see it as a fight. I see it as a competition, like the same as a jiu-jitsu tournament. Like you're not going in there to hurt them. You're going in there to win. In the kind of the easiest way, like in the quickest, easiest way possible.
The fastest route, essentially. Why? What made you start MMA? And how old were you as well, if you don't mind me asking?
So how old was I? I was about 22, 23. I think I started late in 2000. No, I think I started late 2007. Okay. That sounds right, because I think I moved to university. I moved to Newcastle, got university in late 2005. And I think one of my first nights out, like this was Freshers Week, I just thought outside a club, minding my own business. I think it was Derby Day, Newcastle Sunderland Derby Day, and someone literally just ran past me and like flying elbowed me and broke all my cheekbone and made for some interesting kind of. Like I had to get my photos done for uni that week, so I had like my uni
your
pass
ID card,
I just had this massive shiner, and so that happened. And at the time I was already aware of MMA as a sport. I think I first started watching UFC when it was like it had like I think it was like a Thursday night slot on Sky Sports back in like it was certainly while I was still at school, so like maybe 2001, 2002. And me and Ezzy, you know Ezzy, we used to like sit and watch it, and it was like when Tito Ortiz was massive, and it was like a proper spectacle. So I was already aware of it and whatnot. And it was, but by 2005 time, like I was watching it kind of quite regularly. And at the time, like I got beat up and like that happened to me. And I mean, even if I was a trained fighter, there was probably no way I would avoid it. I mean, I've got a bit of a glass jaw anyway. Someone literally just ran past, cracked me, dropped me, and I got back up and they were gone. And that was that. So there was kind of that, and then I'd been kind of mulling it around, but still I was just a bit apprehensive about going down and actually training, so I put it off again. And then I think similar happened on a night out. I got like I don't know what it is. I think because I've always been quite tall. I've always stood up above the crowd kind of thing, but I perhaps didn't have the kind of confidence, so I was kind of maybe seen as an easy target early on. I used to get like not bullied, but like I was always attracting attention, but never kind of like. I think some people go out on a night out and they attract the attention because they're quite boisterous, they're quite loud, they're kind of of course, But like I was quite like introverted, I was quite nervous, and I think that as part of that, I think that kind of people could read that, and I was maybe like seen as an easy target. So I think
quite obvious because of your height.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I am quite loud in a sense. I'm not loud like boisterous loud. I'm loud like kind of like childish loud, like quite immature. Like I'm a bit of a.
Because I mean, like you saying that, like back in the day, you're quite introverted. Like since I've known you, you've always like kind of like joked around, had fun. Especially like on nights out and stuff. You haven't exactly been quiet, you know.
Yeah, I think. Like, when I say introvert, I mean I'm not. Once I know, like I think I use kind of playfulness and clowning to kind of make up for a little bit for maybe a little insecurities inside. I don't know. I like to kind of because I think it like naturally I'm quite introverted. So it's kind of like I'm making up for it. I'm not. If I'm sat in a room with a load of new people, I'm not the first person to kind of like go talk to someone.
Right.
I'm quite kind of apprehensive about all that. But like, what I can do is I can make a bit of a song and dance and be a bit of a like a joker, and then all of a sudden like people will talk to me, and that's a little easier.
Almost like an icebreaker. Like,
But I think. So I think after I'd been the victim of a few violent attacks and whatnot, and to be honest with you, I'd never really. I don't know. I'd never really like been a fighter. I'd had a lot of fights for some reason. God knows why, but I'd never been a fighter. So I decided to take it up. I think originally as a means of self-defense. Just kind of make sure that I could look after myself. Because as I say, I'd been attacked a few times, and then before I knew it, it was kind of it got a bit out of hand. So my first gym I trained at was it was a little gym in Newcastle called Team Phoenix MMA.
Right. Does it still exist?
Still exists, yeah. It was a really, really friendly gym as well. It was a really good place to start out because I think what I'd always been scared of was kind of going down a gym and getting beat up. People just trying to prove a point. And I think that's a lot of people often, like when I speak to people about kind of, they'll say they follow the sport for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. They've been thinking about training for the last 2 years. And I always ask why. And it's like, oh, well, I was scared. And it's like, I think there's this like similar to the sport, like, it's just all these connotations around the sport being aggressive, violent, going down a gym and you're just getting your head panned in kind of thing. But I went down to Phoenix and, it was just like they couldn't have been friendlier. Obviously, in every gym, there's always going to be one person that pushes too far or anything like that. So, I can't really recall anyone like that in Phoenix, but kind of the gym itself was kind of welcome and friendly. I mean, I had some really good training partners there. I think I might have rushed my first fight. I think I'd only been training maybe like about 6-7 months at the time. So
crazy, like just based on I think similar, like I kickboxed at like a Mickey Mouse gym, and I put going there off for about 2 years because I was like, I used to like sit on YouTube and watch, like I type in like Muay Thai gym and see like I remember watching one video and I was like, I'm never going to a gym because it's just this fucking mad cunt like doing circuit training, like talking about how hard everyone in this gym was. Now they were fucking solid, and I was like, I'm just like, I'm never going because I'm going to get my head kicked in. And then went to a Mickey Mouse gym, which I didn't realize until I like went to Middlesbrough Fight Academy. And, like I went to the Thai class, I thought it was hot shit, but obviously I wasn't.
I think you got to do your research when it comes to going to a gym. Because some people will, I think there's different types of gyms, and I think some people might do better at kind of those kind of high intensity, really kind of pushing like a real fighter's gym. But I think for me, Phoenix was just a kind of a nice entry level gym. It was friendly guys there. Fighter wise, I think they'd only had maybe 1 or 2 people fighting previously in MMA, so it was kind of it was relatively young. I mean, as a gym, I think it'd been around a lot longer. Doing Muay Thai, a lot of kickboxing. I mean, they do all sorts of Jeet Kune Do, like all kinds of stuff. But I think MMA wise, it was relatively young. I think they'd only maybe had 2 or 3 people fighting previously. So kind of it was a good level for me because I was able to build my confidence up there. And obviously there was good coaching there as well.
How did your first fight go?
So I fought. So it's a little different back then. So there used to be amateur, semi-pro, and pro.
Right.
Whereas now there's only amateur and pro. Back then, amateur was no headshots at all, which was just ludicrous. How can you call it? It was basically jiu-jitsu with kind of body strikes.
Right, okay.
And then your semi-pro was you were allowed strikes but not on the floor.
Right.
But you only had the forearms gloves on, and then your pro was as it is now. But now it's only amateur pro, isn't it? Where you're amateur, you got your 8-ounce gloves. So I think I had my first fight was an amateur fight on, it was called Close Combat Arena Hartlepool or something. It was like it's, I think as a show it might still be going, so I don't want to say too much, but put it this way, the first ever fight, it was an amateur fight, and I fought in a metal cage, like genuinely metal, like not like the kind of the actual cage you see nowadays, which it has a bit of give in it, and it's actually kind of like plastic coated, it's like chicken wire coated in plastic, so it's not too bad, but my first fight was in a metal cage. I lost by, I think it was split decision. It wasn't very good. It wasn't much of note. That's all I can say. On that one.
It's the beauty of amateur fights, though, isn't it? To build up, like.
But I think to be honest with you, on that occasion, the nerves did get the better of me because I'd never done anything competitively because I'd never really been good at any kind of sport. So that was like, it wasn't necessarily kind of like a fear of fighting. It was more a fear of competing in front of people,
just in general.
Because I'd never really done any performance related things. So I'd never been in a band. I'd never done kind of singing, dancing, like acting, anything like that. I'd never done sports. Like I'd always been a bit clumsy.
You used to skateboard, didn't you?
I used to skateboard, but I'd never competed or anything. It was more like kind of casual kind of sports. But this was the first time I was actually competing in something, and I just. I didn't really kind of perform as I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been training that long, but I just didn't feel like I kind of performed. So I think, and I quickly realised that amateur just wasn't for me. Kind of, it just felt weird pushing people to the body. So I think I lost that, and then maybe 6 or 7 weeks later I had my first semi-pro fight.
Okay.
And I won that one. In fact, it was when I was living in Newcastle, and it was a guy from Borough, and JT was cornering against me.
No way.
And I think Nath might have been as well. Nathan Boyce. I need to go back and look at the video, but yeah, it was a guy called Rob Hughes. Since I moved back to Borough, I've never seen him again. But
I heard him.
I think when I was just that desperate to prove myself because I'd lost that fight, and I didn't think I don't know. I took like a bit of a. I think I was supposed to lose it because the guy, he was 3-0, and I was like, he was 3-0 semi-pro, and I was 0-1 amateur, and I think he just maybe underestimated me a bit, so took his arm clean off. Yeah, for the troubles. Yeah, cheeky little armbar win. But yeah, that was, I think they were both in early 2008 time. Yeah. So I think I'd been fighting, maybe training about 6 or 7 months by that point.
Yeah. Cool. And now you're 6-0 as a pro?
Yeah, right? 6-0 as a pro. Yeah. So what am I? I went 0-1 as an amateur, 7-1 as a semi-pro, and 6-0 as a pro.
That's a lot of fights.
Not that many. I mean, I've had a lot of gaps. I think when I was semi-pro, I was kind of smashing them out, and then pro, I've just kind of, because obviously, as I say, I've got a day job, so it's kind of trying to find the balance. And
I remember when I think I've trained at MFA for about 4 years now. Yeah. Started out kickboxing, do bits of MMA and stuff. And kind of like when I started then, like I knew of you, and I knew you had like a record and stuff, and everyone was kind of like tipping you a little bit to be like the next fucking like super hot shit. I don't know if you knew that, but like
I didn't. No, I think I don't. To be honest with you, I think for me, it's always been a bit of a, I don't know, like it's a hobby, not a profession. Yeah. And I think that's why I've done so well, because I don't put too much pressure on myself. Like if I lose, I have to tell my friends I've lost. It goes on my record. But aside from that, like nothing happens. Whereas I think to go to that next level, you kind of have to you have to be willing to put everything on the line. And when you put everything on the line, it becomes more about kind of financial. And if you lose or win or lose a fight, there's that kind of financial kind of implication and the longer term kind of career implications. And I've already got a career, and so yeah, I think that's why I did so well, because I kind of put it as a hobby. But I think to actually take it to the next level, you'd have to make it kind of your number one priority. Yeah. And I'd be worried that I'd take the fun out of it a bit. Yeah. Plus, I'm getting on a bit now. I think I've lost quite a number of years to kind of injuries and kind of sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, and the other thing, like, if you weren't taking it seriously, you're always going to end up against someone who is taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's
what's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, you talk about you being a bit of a big boy. What sort of weight do you normally fight at? Put you on the spot here, but
yeah, I think I'm most comfortable at 84. I am 84 kilos. I make
what weight?
185 pounds middleweight.
Okay. Yeah.
Only problem is that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I walk around quite heavy because I love my food and whatnot. But I make 185, no problem. I can make it like same day. So it's kind of, for me, what I try and do is I try and get down to it naturally, because I don't like big water cuts and stuff like that. I've had a few bad experiences with like cutting water and stuff. So I like to just get down to it, and then I don't have the added pressure of kind of water cutting and hyperhydration and
feeling like shit the day before and all that.
I've done all that, and it's I'm not fond of it.
I can't imagine anyone particularly likes it.
I have nightmares of baths and saunas, and it's not good. I genuinely cannot get a bath anymore after doing like Epsom salt baths and stuff like that. Yeah, like I remember one of my fights, I had to get back in like 2-3 times, and I was just like, I passed out in there, and luckily, I had people look after me, obviously, it was just horrible. And now I just kind of, I get in a bath, I'm like, I haven't had a bath for like 7-8 months or a year or whatever. I'll try a bath. I get in, I'm like, ugh. Start sweating just and kind of getting, I'm like,
relapse.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, 185 is probably the best weight for me.
Yeah.
I can make 170, but it's a bit tough. Extreme. So yeah, but I fought at all kinds of weights. I fought as heavy as kind of, I mean, my first amateur one, I think, was 95, which is technically heavyweight.
Yeah.
Semi-pro, I fought like heavyweight, and that was, I won like I think it was like Strike and Submit, which was the biggest kind of Northeast show at the time.
Right.
I won the kind of the light heavyweight championship, I think it was.
Okay.
Semi-pro. So it wasn't until I turned pro that I actually started taking it a bit more serious and kind of actually cutting weight. Because prior to that, I'd just kind of kept kind of my terrible diet, my terrible lifestyle up, and just kind of added fighting on top of that. So I lost a bit of weight.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I kind of turned in. In fact, I tell a lie. It wasn't when I turned pro. I had a K1 fight.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? Because as part of turning pro, what I wanted to do is I wanted to I felt like from day one, my bread and butter would be my jits. I'd always naturally gravitated towards that. So I felt like before the step up to pro, I needed to kind of improve my stand up a bit and maybe bring that up a bit. So I kind of had a few months where I exclusively trained like a lot of stand up, and then had a K1 fight.
Okay.
And as part of that, I think I wanted to start dieting, so I originally got it matched up at 90, so it was coming down. And then I think when I started dieting, I just, because I'd never actually dieted or like ate properly before, it just, I think I went down from 96 down to 80 in the end, and that was just through and in the end I was kind of trying to eat just to keep it on.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'd never dieted before, and I was training hard, looking after myself, and it just, so I ended up having to kind of, luckily, the guy I was fighting, he agreed to, I think we took it down to 86 or 84 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think he weighed in at that, so he wasn't too big. But
it's funny, innit? Because even when you first start training, like if you go from, I think I went to one class, and then I was like, I really like that, and I just started training 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, because I'd been skateboarding and in bands and stuff, and never really apart from playing football in primary school, again after that no sports really, apart from skateboarding and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just getting pissed and stuff all the time, and then I kind of jolted my system a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, I can get muscles and shit, and I was losing a little bit of weight, and I was like, whoa, abs. Well, they only existed in magazines, you know what I mean? I thought, oh yeah, you can actually get these if you try a little bit, and it was a bit of an eye opener, which is quite strange, I think. Just going from, I'll be honest, I don't know why, I just presumed you had a bit more of an athletic background. And I don't know if it, obviously. No,
I was always, the problem with me now is, I put weight on really easy. I had a really bad, diet growing up, proper, council teas, crisp sandwiches.
Same.
So, I think, for me, I'd always done that. I hadn't been physically active. I went to university, started drinking a lot as you do, and just didn't really look after myself, and kind of got really, really heavy.
Yeah.
So kind of actually finding MMA and actually semi-pro and whatnot, and kind of amateur. I was fighting and I was training a lot.
Yeah.
But I was still not taking it serious, the kind of the diet and nutrition side of it. So I was kind of I mean, don't get me wrong, I was quitting the drink for the fight and stuff like that, but I was still kind of eating pot noodles and, not really the best nutritional food. But when I lost all that weight, I told myself I'm never going to put weight on again, and I never did. No, no. For me, I think it always goes back to that. I can lose weight really easy, but I put it on really easy as well. After my first fight, I just kind of went back to normal eating, because to lose that much weight, I was kind of originally for my first fight, I had to really cut back. I think I went down to calorie wise, it was probably about 800 a day,
right?
So I was proper going for it, and again, that's probably not the most sensible approach. There's probably balance in there somewhere, and that's probably
part of it somewhere.
But no, I lost it too quick. So then after the fight, as soon as you start trying to go back to normal, and not back to normal how I had been, proper council teas and drinking all the time, but balance.
Yeah.
Because you kind of given your body a bit more, I just put all the weight back on. So then I ended up stuck in this rut whereby I was trying my hardest to lose as much in as little period as possible. Yeah. And then just putting it on between fights. Yeah, so I was kind of going from one extreme. So I was quitting the drink, quitting eating bad, terrible food, not going out or anything, fighting. Losing all getting a fight, losing all the weight, training hard, fighting, and then kind of, because I was trying to balance that with work and everything else, I was kind of letting go a bit after the fight.
Yeah, well, you want to gauge, don't you? After I mean, I don't have a much smaller scale for jiu-jitsu competitions where I've had to cut out the shit and instantly, we all generally always got a Domino's straight away after, you know what I mean? And then I go, I can have a couple of beers now, and even just not having to think about it, I find takes a couple of days, because I kind of I'm like, you know, like in the fridge or whatever, and I go, I can't have that, and I'm like, oh,
you can, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'll have that. Like, and it's like, you know, and that's probably condensed. I think the most I've ever had to lose for jiu-jitsu competition is like 5 kilo over 5 weeks. You know what I mean? And that's all I have to do is clean my diet up, and like, you know, like I've had like a couple of beers the week of competition. You know what I mean? Because it's a fucking jiu-jitsu competition. It's not like.
I think the most.
It's not a title fight.
I think the most I've lost was probably for my last fight. Was
really? Because that I like you. I remember seeing obviously before the fight and saying you had to lose loads of weight and stuff, and then seeing you on the fight.
So I think before that fight I went up to my heaviest I've ever been, because I think I'd had probably. I'm trying to think. I probably had a year or so off.
Right.
Yeah, I think before my last fight I'd probably had a year and a bit off.
Yeah.
Just like various injuries and then work and stuff got in the way, and I'd planned on like, I mean, I think my 5th pro fight was against Like Mai, so that was in May 2013, and I planned on jumping straight back in, and then I didn't actually end up getting back in the cage until November 2015.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or was it November 2014? That must have been 2015, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like over 2 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think when I came back and started training hard again, I was 108 kilos.
Right.
And then, so that was maybe in the June time, and then come October for the fight I'd got down to 84 walking, so that was pretty
that's a lot.
And I've got a photo of it as well. It's fucking mad, but it just, I don't know why I do it to myself. Like, I'm a proper Ricky Hatton. Like, I just wish I could find balance, but that's me in every aspect. Like, I can't find balance in anything. I'm either doing something or I'm not. Like, I'm doing everything, like something to the nth degree, or I'm just not doing it, or I'm dieting like my hardest and eating like air. 2 peas a day, or I'm eating everything. I just need. For me, I need to find balance.
Yeah. Even like when you eat everything, like, are you just like eating shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that like what fascinated me and what I found interesting alongside like martial arts, jiu-jitsu and stuff like that is obviously there's that kind of like nutritional lifestyle, and up until that point of like starting training, I didn't even put a thought into what I put in my body. And like as a kid, like I couldn't eat vegetables and stuff. Like my parents now like see me eating spinach and they're still like, what the fuck? Like, proper gobsmacked. Like,
similar. I had a fear of veg. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think my diet's a lot better than it used to be. I eat a lot more kind of like fruit and veg than I did.
Yeah,
it's kind of for me, it's the late night eating that gets me. Like, I get up, I go to work, I forget to. I'm just too stupid. I'll be in a rush, so I'll forget to have breakfast. I mean, my job's quite intensive, so I'll some days like I won't like I think today I had meeting after meeting after meeting, so I didn't actually eat until about half an hour ago.
Right.
And probably what time is it now? Probably about an hour ago now. Just as I was kind of coming here, kind of thing.
All day. So that's the first thing you had.
Yeah, and it's just stupid because then I'm starving now.
Yeah,
I'll end up eating shit, and it's like. But like when I can get it right, I do get it right, and I think I've been trying to be a bit more conscious this year about what I eat, but I'm still not.
It's funny, isn't it? There's
still a lot of work to be done.
So that's like, having said that, like I still eat like badly, you know what I mean? And like, but I don't know. I feel like just because I know, I'm like, oh yeah,
now
like
you know.
I'm like I'm doing damage, but I'll probably make it up at some point. I probably never do, but like, it's weird because I just never even like processed it in that sort of way. So I was like, oh shit, like actually if I don't have like a couple of Lion bars and some Lucozade before I go training, like I actually do a bit better in training. I'm like, oh shit, like there's like other variables that affect that, not just like me on the day, you know what I mean?
When I'm dieting, like, and like some of the fights, like, but I've been a bit more kind of I haven't had to lose as much. I've like, don't get me wrong, I've went up to 108 between every single fight. There's been fights where I found balance a bit more. I think that was a little bit more to do with kind of having such a long layoff and kind of get old habits kind of re-establishing themselves. But kind of when I was a bit more active and kind of regularly fighting semi-pro, and some of my earlier pro fights when I was fighting a bit more regular, like between fights I found that balance. And it's often a lot easier when you've got something on the horizon or you kind of fit and well. Because I think when you're training a lot, it kind of makes you want to eat clean.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I get a good session in, the last thing I want to do is go home and smash in a Domino's. Whereas I'll quite happily go home from work at, like, I've worked along like maybe I've worked over like till 7 or 8 or whatever. I'll quite happily go home and get a Domino's, and it's like, well, surely you should be getting the Domino's when you've trained, because then it's gonna. But it's kind of like it's a double whammy. So I go from like kind of training a lot and eating clean and kind of watching what I'm going to, what I'm eating, right through to kind of not training, working all the time, forgetting to eat on the day and then eating shit on the night. And it's just like, I don't know, I need to learn how to look after myself.
It's hard, isn't it? I think. It is bad. Like, I mean, I get in sometimes if I've had a bad day or whatever, and like, it's like, I'm gonna have a beer and like, you fancy Chinese. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, that like reward system, isn't it? Do you think? I don't know if you're just exhausted, so you've got no more like nothing else left in you to be like, oh, right, I'll eat. You know what I mean? Because that takes a little bit of brain power. You know. So I think sometimes if you give it all like to your work, then sometimes you just get on. You're like, I don't even want to think. Like, I don't give a shit about calories because you just fucking like.
And then you end up with a gut like this. So that's going to be interesting losing that.
Are you thinking of fighting again?
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, so I last started so I had a long layoff between my fifth fight, which was May 2013, and then
I think I went. Where was that at?
That was at Made for the Cage.
Was that in Teesside?
No, that was in Hortonless Spring.
No, I didn't go that.
It's called the Renton Meadows Arena. Yeah. It's where, do you know Dale
Percival?
Yeah. He has most of his shows. Fucking awesome shows as well. Yeah. So I fought and Made for the Cage. And
then your last one was in Borough.
Yeah, my last one was Borough. So so I think I'd fought then, and then I'd had a few injuries, and had a bit of a layoff, and then got back into training, and then had my last fight, which was in October 2015. Right. So 2 years ago now. Yeah. And when I had that one, I felt good afterwards. I felt fit. I felt like healthy. I was looking forward to getting back in. Yeah. And I even got a fight sorted. So Dale sorted me out a crack at his middleweight title I Made for the Cage against Lee Chadwick. Yeah. It was now, I think he might be fighting in Bama now. I think he might have just won their title, or he might have just had it and then lost it.
Right. Okay. There was a Bama card on Friday, wasn't it, in Newcastle?
I don't think it was that one though. It was, I think, but it was a massive step up, and so I accepted the fight, and I was buzzing about it, and I started like kind of got straight back into training. Yeah. But then he pulled out quite quickly. I think he had a knee injury. Okay. And also at the same time, I got promoted at work. Yeah. And then, as I say, kind of this is a hobby. And unfortunately, kind of work had to take precedent. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of, I mean, I wish, in hindsight, I maybe wish I'd waited for that. Like, because I could have chose, it was kind of, I applied to, you where I work, you don't just get promoted, well done. It's like, you apply for a new job at a high grade, they assess you, and you get promoted kind of thing. Yeah. I kind of maybe wish I'd waited out a bit more. I was a bit too eager to get promoted and applied for a job that didn't really turn out to be what I thought it was going to be. Okay. And it just meant, like, for the best part of 2 years, I was working like in and out hours, kind of going in early, finishing late. And kind of and missing a lot of training as a result of that. And kind of like as you when you start to do it for months on end, it kind of just becomes a bad habit. So then even the odd day when you do get out early and you haven't got anything on, it's just like, oh, I'm a fat mess. Fuck it, I'm getting dominoes. And you just become really lazy. Yeah.
Don't want to get leathered by all the lads.
Exactly. Yeah. Double whammy. So I kind of unfortunately after that Lee pulled out that fight, I didn't really look to get anything organised again, and I just kind of drifted off into the kind of the background.
In the ether, yeah. You've done a little bit of commentating.
I did a little bit of commentating. Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes and no. I don't think I could do it seriously, but as a bit of a laugh, like not necessarily laugh, because it's people are getting in there and stuff. But I approach it quite lightheartedly. Like I'll have like a bit of a crack and stuff. And did it a few weeks ago with Tom Corrigal, and we managed to stay quite kind of professional. But yeah, I've done it a few times actually. I've done it a few times on
Olympus or whatever it used to be called.
When it was previously Combat Challenge, and then I did it on Made for the Cage once with Ian Freeman quite a few years ago.
Yeah, class.
I didn't do too well then, but no, I think I'm not. I don't know. Like as I say, like I've got a loud mouth, but kind of when it comes down to it at night, I don't know. Like I get quite tongue tied. Yeah. Like I try and speak faster than I can think, so then I'm saying stuff that just makes no sense, and then.
Well, I mean, obviously, I did that last fight because it was how it is a bit of a like I'm my own worst enemy sometimes because I'm a bit too much of an opportunist. Like it's like anyone like asks me to do something, like I struggle to say no most of the time because I'm like, fuck it, let's have a go, which is like why I did that. And
we've got an empty building here if you want to.
And I like sat there and, you know, I kind of like pushed the microphone across in front of me, and I went, oh shit, because obviously I can talk, I can like, I'm comfortable in front of cameras and stuff like that. It's just one of them things that's never bothered me. But because I was having to like watch what was happening and instantly like report on it, I went, oh shit, I've never done this before. I've sat and watched plenty of MMA and talked about plenty of MMA.
Last thing you with your mates and you can just chat and you can be like, oh, good shot.
Oh, yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
When you're trying to like watch everything and you like, and you've got everything going on and you're trying to kind of narrate live.
Yeah.
Like,
you kind of not that you're not enjoying it, but you're analysing it, and you're not watching a fight and going, oh yeah, this is class. You're watching like almost like it could be two fucking stick figures in there. You know what I mean? You're just watching what's like limbs moving and they're talking about that, not actually like getting excited about the fights. Which I don't know if that's just like you do get like that when you get more relaxed.
But I think when I did it the first time for Made for the Cage, and I've never ever listened back to it, and I'm not going to because I try to over prepare. So I was like, right, I'm the statistician. I'm going to have my facts. And so I did loads of research about all the fighters. And I was trying to like chuck in like just casually like, oh yeah, and 25% of his wins have been via rear naked choke. And like Ian was just looking at me like, what? Like,
yes, but it was doing it next to Ian Freeman, who's the complete opposite of that.
So like I went from never having done it to trying to be this kind of really like clued up factual.
Smooth
30% of the time this fighter ends up in his battle or something like, and it was just like, what am I saying? And it was I was trying to proper like shoehorn them into like any gap, and it's like, I think I've done a bit better by just kind of just going with the flow a bit.
At least
more.
you learn. Yeah.
But I'm certainly not a natural commentator. It's not like something I'm rushing to do. It's more like a bit of a favour. I might as well help out kind of thing.
Yeah. You'll have a bash.
Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? What was Ian's like reaction to that?
Or was he just he was quite sound, to be honest. He was quite nice for me. He didn't.
What's he like as a commentator? I don't think I've listened to him.
He's good. He's really good. He's been doing it as long as I can remember. So he used to comment. He's commentated on pretty much all of my fights.
All right. Okay.
Aside from kind of maybe the last one. Yeah. Because I think
I've only ever seen him judging fights, but I've only ever seen him at like lower level, like T-side based fights. Because I've never really been to like Bammers and like that mid-level stuff, you know what I mean? I've kind of like, I've gone to a lot of UFC shows and I've gone to a lot of local shows, but I've missed out that middle ground.
I think he's done a lot. I think he used to do like M1 and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, so he's done a lot of kind of national, but no, he used to...
he's obviously knows it's MMA, you know what I mean? But
he used to do strike and submit, like all the strike and submits, which is where I kind of came up as a semi-pro. Right. And then that got changed into a show called Supremacy. So I kind of did, I think probably all but 3 or 4 of my fights have been on that show, and he's always done that. So
did Supremacy have a proper wicked logo? I could just see it. You know what I mean? Like lightning strike.
I don't think it did, if I'm honest. I'm trying to think of the other shows I fought on. I fought on Battleground. Yeah. That was that was pretty nifty. That was in you know, the Crypt in Borough Town Hall. That was in
no way. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought in then
it's not a bad venue, actually.
It was all right,
I
suppose
you can't really get high.
Yeah,
but like,
apart from it was in a ring rather than a cage.
Right.
So I nearly like fell out and broke my neck. But apart from that, it sounded.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie was there.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was black belt, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he was at the time. I think he may have been a purple thing. I can't remember why he was. I think one of his like mates was fighting or something.
Yeah.
But I remember just seeing him, just being like, shit.
I was reading something on the Underground the other day about how he like. There's like loads of like now like probably not famous but famous in the BJJ world, like London black belts and stuff that were just his mates that are just like extras in snatch and stuff, like just because he wanted to like get them involved. Which is pretty.
Well, I think I'm sure like in like the new Sherlock Holmes films and that they had a bit of BJJ in that.
Yeah, the will have done. Yeah. Just because he's got Charlie Hunnam into it and like all that shit.
But no, I fought in the Crypt. That was pretty good. And then I remember it was just like it was proper sketchy. I remember like warming up in like one of the upstairs rooms in the town hall and cut my foot open on a nail that was hanging out like coming out the floor and stuff, and not badly or anything. But like, it's not the kind of thing you want when you're warming up. And then what else was it?
It's not built for it. Like I put shows on and stuff there, like music stuff, and they were like rough and ready for rock and roll moshes. You know,
my favourite place was always like it was at the it's a place called the Federation Brewery, just behind Metro Centre.
Okay,
nice little venue where like I think it was the West Strike and Submittance. It was like a proper like cool venue.
That's what I was going to say about commentating, right? Tom Corrigill messaged me saying, "Oh, like it was good. Like we should get the podcast rolling." Blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm not fucking listening. I texted him. I was like, I'm never listening to that, like, ever. Yeah. And then the next day, I was like, found myself like on my own in my house. It came off my feed, and I was like, I'll have a listen. And the bastards have cut a bit out.
Have they?
Yeah. And I remember thinking, like, I was talking and thinking, like, shut the fuck up. And because, like, I didn't have any headphones, and, you know, like, it was set up for you two.
But thing is, the problem with these things is, I mean, I've done it on Olympus/Combat Challenge twice now.
Yeah.
And after the stuff, you can't hear yourself, and obviously I can't hear what Tom's saying. So
right, like, that's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing, because I need to hear what Tom's saying so I can bounce off him. And I haven't listened back to this one now, but I'm probably going to take a stab at the fact that we're talking over each other for half the time, and that's not because we're so eager to talk. It's just because we couldn't fucking hear each other.
Yeah. I don't think you two are that bad, but like early on, like Tom mentions about Harry, the fight where he had with the black belt where he sprawled him and knocked him out. And then, like, at some point in Harry's fight, I remember, like, kind of talking about that and then bringing it up and then going, shit, why did I bring this up? Like, what was my point? Yeah. And then I think you, Kit, like, kind of went, so Harry, like, fights black belts. And I was like, I remember being like...
I said that, oh, God.
Yeah. What I think you kind of saved me, like, you know, like, kind of like...
It is stressful, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was, like, watching, like, Harry's fight, and obviously listening to it at the same time, listening to us talking and going, oh fuck, when does this come in? And then like the fight ended, and I was like, oh, I was like, the fuck, whoever's edited that's when I'm gonna fucking like that just needs to be honest. Go,
I get the impression they might have missed a lot of the stuff because the mics kind of kept faltering, like the headsets I couldn't really hear. I had these pair of headphones on as well, and like they were just molting on me, and like so like they were like it must have been that old that like like it was all leather or whatever. It was just I went home and I had like leather in my ears and like black bits. Yeah.
Shout out to the sound guys.
Yeah, cheers, sound guys. Much appreciated.
Hope you're listening. Fans for life there.
Yeah. But now, I commentary wise, I don't listen to any of it. I don't think. I think I listened to one fight I've commentated. And that was me and JT did a guest commentary spot on the charity boxing match between Half Presgrave and Jim Bob Kelly, and it was like. Yeah, we were just we were just having a bit of a laugh. It was a charity event, so we got on it, and we just ripped him a bit. So I had to listen back to that, and even though like we weren't taking it seriously, I was still cringing at myself. So the thought of listening back to something else, and
you gonna listen to this?
I don't know. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about that earlier. Like I was like, oh shit, like do I listen to it or not? But I reckon I'm not as far as kind of like I ever like when I'm commentating. It's a bit more like because it's all going on there and it's live. Like you're like, oh, you're trying to watch it and you're kind of constantly trying to trying to watch and narrate and kind of like bring in all kinds of like stuff. And but with this, I mean, I've kind of my problem is I don't like I go on too many kind of tangents. So I'll be chatting and then I'll be like, oh, and then because I've talked about that, I need to talk about that, and then and I think that was my concern with this. I was just going to be waffling absolute shite. You're going to ask one question and then before you know it, you've got me dead. Like telling you the price of fucking milk at Aldi or something. Like
it's funny for the first time in like ages, like even like musically or like whatever. It's probably the first thing I've done where I'm just like whatever, like it's I don't really give a shit in terms of like the format because I'm like I've got no one telling me what to do. Even like the podcasts, the few podcasts I did with Mike and Barry Gibson and stuff. I was like just conscious that it was like a group thing. We'd had a discussion about like what we were going to call it and how we wanted to look. So I was kind of aware that. I don't even know if it shaped it at all in any way, but I was just aware that it wasn't just like me. I didn't have full creative control, which is fine. I'm not a control freak or whatever. So like for this, I just thought, fuck it. Even like I've got an idea of where I'm going to go for it, and I obviously wanted to talk to you about MMA, obviously, because it's what we both kind of got in common. But you know, if we ended up talking about like fucking, I don't know, if you were a goat farmer or something, I'd just fucking sat and talk to you about that for an hour. You know what I mean? But because I'm almost like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I do what the fuck I want, which is quite liberating. You know what I mean? So
you got a name for this one?
Don't worry. Yeah, well, for ours, So the overall thing, because I was trying to come up with like, if you should have heard some of the names I thought of. I can't think of any now. I can't. Well, I don't know. I was trying to think of like an overall branch because I like the idea of like the Fight Companion podcasts, obviously. And me and Ray, who is a tattoo artist at Skins and Needles, we've been friends for a long time. We've been in a band together and stuff. Like we got signed, so we like travelled like a lot. Like he's a close friend, and we've always like loved horror movies and talked about horror movies.
Nice.
And I kind of sat there and went, why don't we just fucking put horror movies on and talk about them? So like so like I'll have like a kind of like section with him, and then I'm gonna do like I'd like to do another one about tattooing with Reggie, one of the tattoo artists in the tattoo studio. And I thought, but I was like, I can't come up with like 4 different podcasts because so I basically what I'm trying to say, I wanted like an overarching thing, and I just couldn't fucking think of anything, so I was just going to call it Rick Baker TV, even though it's a podcast. I'm videoing it, so it doesn't matter. I just call it RBTV because I just thought it's short and it just gets to the point, and it's not like
sounds a bit like a disease if
yeah
it's better RBTV,
I've got RBTV 6 months left.
That's probably the best way.
Because like I
like the idea of doing that though, like having like little well, I suppose it's similar to like what Rogan does, isn't it? And I'd hate to keep going back to that, but you've kind of you'll have MMA fighters on, you'll have comedians on, you'll have, but he's all into fucking mad shit now, isn't he? Bow hunting and all that shit. And then you'll have scientists on, and I like that it's quite varied.
Well, and even like with his and other people's podcasts, like I'll pick and choose Rogan's podcast because like like you say, sometimes you'll have like a guy on talking about Porsches for 4 hours, and I'm like, see you later, which is fine, but I guess similar to you in that like just like lots of stuff interests me and fascinates me, and I try loads of mad stuff, so like and I don't know that much about MMA to like, I'd like to put a podcast out every week, and I don't think I have enough knowledge to talk about MMA every week, like once a week, you know what I mean? And then you just go down the route of talking about the fights that have been on, the fights that are coming up, which is kind of already covered by people that are probably a bit better at talking than me, so, and probably know a bit more about MMA than I do. Still do a bit of that, but so getting back to it, I'm going to call this MMA Maths with Doug.
I like it.
Like maths, don't you? And
I do.
MMA Math is a thing, so
it doesn't work, but no, the name works. MMA Math doesn't work.
It doesn't work, but it's alright.
See what you did there. Really, really clever.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. It took me ages. Lost loads of sleep thinking of it. So I'm itching to talk to you about statistician stuff, just because like
statistics.
I'm interested in what makes people tick and why they do certain things. And obviously, I presume you didn't kind of like be born and go, I'm going to be a statistician. Much like I didn't think I was going to do marketing for a tattoo studio, but like, what kind of like led you down that path? Have you always been really good at maths? Does it involve much of maths? Like, what you do?
So at the moment, I work for the Department for Education.
So obviously, I realised you work for the government, don't you? So if you can't talk about fucking certain things,
it's not like
you're not a spy or else.
I fucking wish. It's quite boring what I do, if I'm honest with you.
Okay,
I work for the government. I work for the Department for Education. Technically civil service. So I'm responsible for the collection, production and publication of statistics for children's services. So like children like referred to social services and things like that. Early years education and special educational needs. Right. Although saying that, tomorrow's my last day, and then I get a new job and I start that next January. So that's where I'm hoping to find that work-life balance and maybe get one of them fights in the books. Because as I say, I think when I first took this job,
it's usually a bit fucking stressful.
Well, no, I think as far as this job has gone, I've had it for about 18-19 months now, and I mentioned kind of after my last fight, hoping to fight again, and then kind of getting this promotion. And
I remember you talking about getting promoted.
And I think, unfortunately, kind of this particular role is just quite burdensome in that you've got such a large remit. I mentioned the kind of the 3 areas I'm responsible for: children's services, early years, and special educational needs. Unfortunately, like most other teams, have got like 1 area of responsibility, whereas I've got 3, and so it's just kind of it's meant that I've been stretched a bit too thinly, I think, and I've kind of probably worked that work-life balance kind of disappeared. I was working more than I wanted to, and kind of thing. So, but I've got a new job starting, so there's going to be the stress of kind of starting a new job and finding my feet. But I'm hoping after that I can start getting back into it. But how did I get into it? I don't know. If I'm honest with you, when I was at school and college and whatnot, I always kind of excelled at maths. I think, to be brutally honest, have you heard of Asperger's? I've got Asperger's.
Okay. All right, I didn't know.
I've got a natural kind of inclination towards mathematics, I suppose. As part of that, I always kind of excelled at it. I've always done really well. I think
makes sense.
I like logic I like kind of things that have been broken down into kind of
rules and things.
Like right and wrong. I struggle sometimes with subjective kind of things, like so kind of like where you can argue either way and kind of build up an argument and kind of things. I like things to be like yes, no,
okay,
white, black.
So if you're trying to extract a meaning from a painting, perhaps then
that's what I struggle with, and I think that's why I've always struggled creatively. I mentioned earlier I haven't really done kind of much in the way of kind of creative, like acting, music, like that. I don't really excel that way. I excel more kind of towards So I've always kind of done best at mathematics or maths. Did it at obviously did it at school because it's compulsory. Did well at school. Did it at college. Ended up kind of. Well, I've just completely. I'm going to contradict myself here because I've just said I hate top subjects that are subjective. I quite liked history, but for me, history's
quite factual law. And there's a lot of
it's factual, but then at the same time, there's the whole some historians think that I'm trying to think of an example, but I'm going to completely falter kind of like
history's fucking shocking.
I'm trying to think of kind of a specific. So but I think what I'm trying to say is even with history, even though there's facts and kind of learning those facts, there's still kind of arguments to be made for kind of why. But I think
a lot of it's like history is written by the victor a lot of the times, isn't it? So there's other arguments to what might have happened or.
And I think as part of that, so I really enjoyed history and I really enjoyed maths and kind of I was thinking to myself, what do I do? Like which one do I want? And actually, I'm completely going to contradict myself again. I was quite good at media as well. And that is a creative subject. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm absolutely talking bullshit. I was quite good at media. That was something that kind of interested me. There were the three things I did kind of through to A level. But I decided, one mature moment I sat down and decided like what's going to be the most likely thing to get me a job. History, what do you do? You become a history teacher or a historian, which how do you even become a historian? Do you know what I mean? You have to be pretty damn good to kind of excel.
Pretty be like a library researcher or something.
Well, I think you're either going to be mediocre kind of like research assistants, things like that, or like you're going to be right at the top. And I was never going to go to the top because my memory's absolutely terrible. Right. Kind of media-wise, again, I was good at it, but not amazing. And I felt kind of like to excel in kind of media. It was more. I was kind
of need that edge, like definitely.
And I felt like I just didn't have that, so I thought it was kind of I thought, do you know what, I'm going to get a job with maths. Like I could go down so many routes, and it's not going to be that difficult.
Engineering and all sorts,
So I went to university, moved to Newcastle, studied there, gravitated towards statistics. I mean, it was quite strange because it was one of the subjects I struggled with the most.
Right,
but I enjoyed the most as well. It kind of challenged me the most, I think, and then I kind of like through that I kind of decided to kind of go for it. So
it's funny, like when you mentioned about obviously saying that like creativity, because like you're kind of like struggling in that, but when you like everything kind of, it's funny because everything has rules still, and like I started playing drums when I was like 12 in school, 11 or 12, and like drumming essentially like is like maths and that's probably sounds really weird, but in that it just it has like very simple patterns, very simple rules. If you break them, it sounds like shit. You know what I mean? And you can change them and manipulate them. There's time signatures and things like that. But like drumming's really rudimentary and really like pattern based. So, and then obviously again, like with media and stuff like that, it's obviously inherently like a creative subject, but still like, you know, photography has like the rule of like, I think it's like the rule of 9, where like it's just everything's kind of got to follow certain patterns in it. It's weird, isn't it? Because like maths, I guess, is like everywhere a little bit, like in symmetry and things like that. So you can kind of like, but again, you can apply it to all sorts. So I've got a media degree, you know what I mean? Right. So I'm kind of like going, wish I did maths.
Well, I didn't mean it like instantly.
No, it's totally fine.
Don't get me wrong, I'd have much preferred to have done media. I didn't hate maths. I like maths. I would never have done it if I didn't like it. But I think kind of between sitting down and working out some kind of like algorithm or the equation or whatever and editing some kind of video, I'd much prefer the latter.
It's funny, like I was talking to Lottie about this the other day, because I don't even feel like I like earned my degree because it was on a creative subject, and like there's probably like fucking loads of people out there like really pissed off that I'm saying this, but I thought my degree was like so easy because I just imagine like
is that not just because you were good at it?
I think it's because, well, there's probably a little bit of that, but there's a little bit of like it was just like what I was very, very interested in at the time. I basically based my whole degree around like shooting music videos and documentary style stuff. And there's nothing I enjoyed more than getting in like a van with a band, going on tour and like filming everything and like going home and chopping it together. So when they'd say, have you got a project for this? I'd be like, oh yeah, I did that last week for fun. You know what I mean? Where you don't really sit at home and like work out algorithms for the crack, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, well, yeah, in that case. So I like, it's funny in it, but then obviously that it does limited job like realities in the job world, you know what I mean? I probably worked for like 2 years alongside working for 10 Feet Tall actually as like a freelancer and a videographer and stuff, and then I just started like working because I was like cutting between the two, and like I had a good go at it, and I still do lots of creative like fun stuff. So
unfortunately with some of them fields though, it's sometimes who you know as well. If you don't have that kind of initial kind of entry into the whatever, I think you're gonna struggle.
There's probably like, it's the same with like musicians and filmmakers and kind of everything. There's probably like millions of people out there that are much better at doing it than the people that are doing it, but sometimes it's just getting out and doing it. I'm a big believer in having a go at stuff. And it sounds like you are as well, you know, just kind of like getting up and going and doing it and having a go, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But like, you know, people struggle, people are shy for whatever reason. Like I was in a band, we got signed, we did really well, it fell apart because we were all just fucking like couldn't really be asked anymore. But like we were all kind of popular, we all went out a lot, we were all like in that kind of scene anyway before I kind of pulled the band together. And if we weren't, like there's better musicians sat at home than us, and we got put on like a very small pedestal compared to like other bands, you know what I mean? But still a pedestal. Just based on like, because we used to go out and have a bit of crack and that, you know what I mean? It's the same everywhere. It's the same with fights. You know what I mean? If I know obviously it's skill, like don't get me wrong, you have to have a certain level of skill. But if there's a bit of a Jack the Lad in the gym and he's like quite good crack and he's like confident, he's at all the fights and he's talking to all the promoters and he knows Freak just because he's like dead funny on Facebook and like hammers in and stuff, he's probably more likely to get a fight because he's going to be better at selling tickets than...
Yeah, I suppose. I think
maybe not as much with fighting.
So they're going to look for the kind of the popular lad. So
but maybe not on a bigger scale. But it's just funny, isn't it? I don't know what point I'm trying to make, but
it's all good.
Yeah,
we'll just chat shit, aren't we? I was trying to think what I was going to say. I think you've undersold yourself a bit there with the all kind of you kind of got just because you were going out and shit, or.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I think it helps. I think it helps a lot more than people realise. What I'm saying, like, I guess I've probably played drums now for 18 years, and there's people out there that play drums for 18 years that are much, much better than me, you know what I mean? But I maybe had like a bit of a better break than some other people just because of that reason. But fuck them, I was there, they weren't. So.
In your own way.
Yeah.
But no, I think for me, maths, I don't know why I keep saying, as if like I've said something really.
We're going back to points that we previously discussed. So
I think I just for maths, it was just always going to be the easiest route, and it came to fruition. Like as soon as I left uni, I got a job.
Kind of stepped into it.
Stepped into it, and been there since. So it's been I feel like I've spoke quite negatively about my job. I think I've just been a bit overburdened and probably try to do a bit too much the last like year or two when I got promoted. Maybe a bit too eager to prove myself. Maybe because when you do get like a step up and give that opportunity, you do want to prove yourself. And I think
of course, I
think it's part of that. I just kind of lost sight of the work-life balance, and then lost sight of kind of the things I love, fighting and things like that. So I'm not like ready to give it up yet by any means.
Cool.
Hopefully this year ahead.
You might fight this year, or
I mean, I feel like I was just ready to take that next step. So I think after my last fight, I kind of got.
The lad you fought was pretty good as well.
Ivy Jack's pretty damn good. He's been around a long time. It was a difficult fight as well. First time I've won a decision, I think.
It seemed like a grind.
The first time I went to decision since I had that amateur fight. So semi-pro, I think I won 7 submissions and then got sparked once. So that was 7. That was me 7-1. So no decisions there, and then 6-0. First 5 were 4 submissions, 1 TKO, and then the last one was just a decision. So I was quite in one element. I was gutted because I was like, I didn't get the finish. But then that was the first time I'd actually ground out a win.
Yeah.
And I think I like to take something away from the fight, and I think what I took away from that is I kind of have a better gas tank than I probably give myself.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole, I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't kind of a constant back and forth battle or anything like that, but I was constantly on the front foot, constantly trying to take him down.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot in the clinch as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think, whereas, I mean, I'm really good at tying people up against the cage and taking them down off the cage. I've done it in most of my pro fights. It's something that my pro gym is Spartans MMA. It's kind of, unfortunately, it's just kind of, it's just like kind of gone now. It's closed down. So, but no, that was honestly Warren Oliver, my coach. He's like, when I went there, like I didn't have any wrestling at all, and he kind of brought me on like 10, 20 fold. And
what's happened to Spartans? So Spartans is gone.
So I think Warren retired from coaching to concentrate on his art a bit more, because I'm not sure if you've seen, but he started.
Is that what Jamie was sharing?
Yeah. So he started doing a lot of kind of painting and artwork.
Cool.
He's unbelievable. So I think he retired from coaching to concentrate on that a bit more.
Cool.
And then I think it was mainly a kickboxing gym originally, and kind of Warren had went through there with some of his MMA lads, and we'd all kind of followed and then,
just done a bit.
And I think kickboxing wise, I think it might. I'm not fully sighted, but I think it just might not have been doing as well as it once was. So
fair enough.
Unfortunately, it's kind of gone. But it was an amazing gym, and kind of went through there, learned a lot of wrestling. I'm going really far away. I'm coming back to it though. I learned all this wrestling, and as part of that, like I've always had really good wrestling, really good cage control, taking people down off the cage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did a lot of that in my early pro fights. This one though, it was a bit strange because he was he was happy to stay on the cage. Most people, what you'll do is you'll put them against the cage. They don't want to be there.
They want to get the fuck away.
So they want to get out. So they're kind of pressing forward, and you can use that to kind of take them down. You can kind of exploit them, kind of like coming forward, making mistakes. They're fighting to kind of get away, and in doing so, they kind of leave themselves open. You get your takedown. Whereas this fight, he was just happy to stay on the cage, so he wasn't trying to take himself off the cage, and he was quite happy, kind of staying quite heavy and just sitting and relaxing. And for me, it was something I'd never experienced before, because in doing so, he was losing the fight, but he was quite well. In my opinion, he was losing the fight because I'm the aggressor. I'm putting him on the cage. He's not doing anything, and he just wasn't really doing much. So it was kind of quite frustrating, because that combined with the fact that he missed weight by, I think it was about 4 kilos.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So kind of, I think, so I'd walked in as at kind of what I was, and then he walked in kind of like, well, I say walked in, his girlfriend like carried him in because he couldn't walk, like he cut that much weight. So I dread to think what he was come fight night, but he missed it by, I think it was about 3-4 kilos in the end. So then add on whatever he's cut in water weight. So that's the negative of walking in at what you are. Kind of he'd came in quite heavy. So I mean, I'd say he was well above 100 kilos come fight time. Right. Okay. I was so like, I use technique against the cage to get people up, but like I'm not relying on my strength. But Jesus, like he was heavy. I couldn't. I think I managed to get him down off the cage maybe 2 or 3 times in the fight. Maybe it might be. I definitely got him down in the first and the third. I can't remember too much in the second. But I really struggled. He was really heavy. But no, I took away a lot away from that fight because I was constantly like grinding. Constantly trying to kind of get him down, and prove myself I could kind of see out a full 15, which was the first time. But yeah, after that one, I was on the cusp with Lee, like of getting a big fight. I think like Lee Chadwick was a big step up. I think after that last fight, I ended up 26th in the rankings on that. On like that's going by Tapology rankings. So I was quite pleased with that. And I think Lee was probably about 12th or something at the time.
Right, big jump.
So I was buzzing Dale got me this massive fight. I well up for it, and then obviously didn't come to be in the end. But I kind of feel like I need to get back in there, maybe get kind of like a Syncopate regional, maybe. I've been chatting with Freak about maybe getting Sync Olympus in April.
Or something.
Might be a bit too early, I don't know yet. I think I'm trying to weigh up whether I kind of just try and jump in as quick as possible, or maybe kind of take a bit of time with the uncertainty of the new job and things like that. But I think Sync regional, and then I'd love to fight abroad. I don't know why. Like I'd love to.
Class. I'll come with you, make a film.
Yeah. Should do it. Yeah. I'd do that. Like, but right, this is going to sound really strange, but I really want to fight for ONE FC. I don't know. I just the thought of fighting in like somewhere like Singapore, like
it'd be fucking mint.
Yeah, I like the thought of kind of like going like traveling somewhere with the purpose of fighting someone.
Like going
away specifically to like.
Yeah, It's quite like, it kind of harkens back to you know, like going to battle almost, you know what I mean? And like fucking like you're invading almost, or like, you know, like, or proving something, or like that Max Holloway thing where he said, you know, like when he fought Jose Aldo the first time in Rio de Janeiro, and he's saying like, you know, this is what kings do. They go to other people's countries and they take the fucking crown and that. And it was like shit, like if I was going to Brazil to fight Jose Aldo, I'd be like, sorry mate, I'm a bit scared.
No, I think. Yeah, I won't be taking any crowns, but I'll try. I'll see what I can do. But no, I don't know why. It's just something because for me, I'd never expected to get this far. And I'm saying like I've got like really far, like, and I'm like,
but you've done like.
But for me, when I first started, it was self-defense, and then I had an amateur fight, and it was, oh wow, I've had an amateur fight, and then I didn't really set any kind of goals. I was setting them as I went along. Yeah. So each kind of step, I've had a goal. So like, my first one was just to fight. Then it was to fight when I started fighting semi-pro, it was to get a belt, and I got one of them. And then it was to turn pro. I did that. Yeah. It was to actually fight pro. I did that. And then kind of, I kind of went. Well, I think it was after maybe my second or my third pro fight. I can't remember who it was, but someone asked me like, what do you reckon you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to like achieve?
Yeah. What's next?
And I remember just saying I'd love to kind of win a pro title. I haven't done that yet, so I still need to do that.
Do that in Japan if you want.
Yeah, it's Singapore.
Yeah.
And then another one was like fight abroad. And I was just like, I just love the idea of like fighting somewhere. So yeah, I think I've definitely got a few more fights left in me. I'm just gutted I've had to take so long off, but I'll be back.
Official announcement. I love it.
Yeah. Class. But I've got a lot I need to work on. I think I've completely neglected my stand up for the past 2 years. I mean, obviously I've kept a foot in the door with jits. I think I maybe. On average, I probably train once a week, which is absolutely abysmal.
Are you teaching as well? You teach 2 classes a week or 1 class a week?
It's currently 2, but Sundays hardly I understand. Wednesdays are good. I'm getting a good number down, maybe like 15 and 20 down. But Sundays are a bit hit and miss, so I think we're currently assessing whether exactly who wants to get out of bed on Sunday. Currently 2, but it might kind of I might change.
I think that probably keeps your head in it more than you.
Well, it's put me. If anything, it's put me my head back in, because obviously with work, it was too easy to say, right, I'm supposed to be training at 6. Yeah, it's 5:15. If I need to be going, I need to be going now. But I've got to do this. It's easy to say, well, work comes first. I'm just going to stick around. And then you miss training. Whereas when you're coaching, it's give me that I have to be there. So even though it's kind of like it's only one night a week, it meant I was getting back in. Yeah, and I have to be there. And as part of that, I've started kind of training a little bit more around it. So I've done a bit more as of late. By no means kind of. I mean, when I'm kind of training properly, I'm training every day, maybe kind of taking rest days every other week when I need to, kind of thing. Whereas now, it's flip reverse. I'm probably every other week when I can't. But no, I think that, and that's probably one of the reasons I'm thinking April might be a bit soon. Is that kind of I've had 2 years of kind of foot half in the door, training once a week, if that. Sometimes.
You are very full on though, so it might work better for you to just fucking dive in.
Well, it worked for my last fight, because I mean, by no means the same length of time. But I had a year off. And then kind of put all that weight on, kind of sat on the shelf. And then came.
Dropped it all and beat him.
Yeah.
Cool.
But.
Cool. Good luck.
Yeah. Cheers.
Nice one. Cool. I think we'll leave it there if that's all right.
No. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for
sorry about the lack of laughs.
That's all right. I laughed, so.
Yeah, that's good. That's all that counts. Yeah.